They've committed heinous crimes and now they're facing the consequences. But how do they feel about spending the rest of their lives behind bars? Are they remorseful? Are they resigned? You won't believe what they have to say. Stay tuned until the end. Elizabeth Escalona, a mother from Dallas, was sentenced to 99 years in jail for beating and gluing her 2-year-old daughter's hands to the wall. Prosecutors sought nearly 45 years in prison for the mother, ranging from probation to life in prison. In addition, her sentence was decided by a state district judge. Escalona, according to police, attacked 2-year-old Jocelyn Cedillo because of her toilet training issues. In July, the 23-year-old mother pled guilty to felony child injury.
You savagely beat your child to the edge of death. For this you must be punished. Please stand.
According to the police report, Escalona's other children told investigators that she kicked her daughter in the stomach and beat her with a jug once in 2011. Escalona was said to have stuck Jocelyn's hands to the wall with a strong adhesive similar to superglue. Jocelyn was in a coma for a few days after suffering from brain bleeding and several bruises. Erica Mae Butts and Shanita Latrice Cunningham were sentenced to life in prison by a Charleston judge 2 years to the day after Serenity Richardson, a 3-year-old girl, died in their care. Elizabeth Gordon, the assistant managing solicitor for Charleston County, claimed that it is impossible for words to correctly express what these women did to this unfortunate girl.
Each be sentenced to the State Department of Corrections for a period of life. You will get credit for any of the time that you.
They frequently struck their child with a belt and plastic coat hangers. Gordon claimed that the outlines of the strikes could be seen on the body. She also stated that, with the exception of the soles of her feet, no part of the child's body was uninjured. Serenity was visiting her godmother, her mother's best friend, and Cunningham, her lover, at their house in Summerville, South Carolina for 2 weeks when the abuse occurred. When Serenity went unresponsive in 2009, Gordon claimed that they tried to revive her by putting bleach under her nose. Butts dialed 911 and then contacted her mother. The infant had been dead for some time when the physicians arrived. She stated that this was the most serious instance she has seen in her 4 years of pursuing crimes against special victims. In the majority of child abuse homicide situations, it is usually the case that someone made one wrong judgment. In contrast to this, Cunningham and Butts made the decision to beat that youngster every day. Kayla Norton and Jose Joe Torres were sentenced to 19 years in jail by a Georgia judge for their roles in a racist rampage at an 8-year-old's birthday celebration. This assault included racial comments, firearms threats, and the raising of Confederate battle flags. She turned to the area of the courtroom where the families were attending the birthday party were sitting after telling the court that Norton accepted responsibility for her actions. They have 3 children together while not being married. Prosecutors claimed they were part of a gang of white supremacists that taunted African Americans and threatened to murder minorities. Once Superior Court Judge William Bo McLean handed down his sentence of 13 years in jail and 7 years probation for Torres, as well as 6 years in prison and approximately 9 years probation, the guilty sat stooped down and cried.
I do accept the responsibility for what I've done. I know I was in the wrong. But I want you all to know that that is not me. That is not me. That's not him. I would never walk up to you and say those words to you, and I'm so sorry that happened to you.
Furthermore, both of them have been expelled from Douglas County. The sentence comes just weeks after a jury found Torres and Norton guilty of making terroristic threats and violating Georgia street gang terrorism and prevention legislation. In addition, the judge found Torres guilty of severe assault. Although Georgia does not have a hate crime statute, McLean and District Attorney Brian Fortner used the phrase to describe the group's behavior. On November 13, 2017, Diana Lovejoy was accused of the attempt of murdering her husband. Fortunately, when Diana shot him in the torso, the bullet did not pass through his heart. The judge ordered Lovejoy to share custody of her kid and pay $100 in child support each month. Lovejoy was unable to contribute the sum, so she resolved to murder Greg with the help of her gun instructor, her boyfriend, Weldon McDavid Jr. He was in the Marine Corps for 12 years and taught Diana some shooting techniques. He even put in a security system in Lovejoy's house. Greg and a friend were strolling down the dusty path to Avenida Solidago. Greg survived McDavid's gunfire because the bullet could not penetrate the heart from the torso. Greg's friend reported the event to the police. When Greg was rushed to the hospital, he told them it was 11 p.m. when they were walking down the street when they heard the gunshot. Furthermore, the police wanted to know what caused Greg to be shot. Later, after some inquiry, the police discovered that Greg was involved in a legal issue involving his divorce and the custody of his kid. The police inquired to the reason for the late-night stroll down the street. So Jason told them that Greg had received a call from an investigator saying that he had grabbed some evidence and would only give Greg one chance to see it. Furthermore, Jason stated that Greg informed him of a call and appeared concerned. As a result, he invited him to join him. Both were on their way to check on the evidence when Greg was brutally attacked. The court alleges that Diana Lovejoy compelled McDavid to tell her that her husband sexually abused her and molested her son. It was then uncovered that he was paid $2,000 to say this in court. Michelle Blair was sentenced to prison for murdering her children and burying their bodies in their Detroit home's freezer. Blair is serving 2 life terms for the atrocity she committed, and now she faces even more prison time after pleading guilty to 2 counts of attacking a prison employee. Michelle Blair was sentenced to 38 months to 5 years in jail for each crime, to be served simultaneously but consecutively to the life terms. Blair has been in prison since the horrifying discovery at her home in March 2015. The children's frozen bodies were discovered in a deep freezer by court agents carrying out an eviction at the family's home on Detroit's east side. She was then charged with felony murder, premeditated murder, and torture in the murders of Stoney and Blair, as well as Stephen Gageberry. The detectives believe Stephen was 9 years old when he died in August 2012, and Stoney was 13 the following May. She then confessed to the heinous crimes, admitting she attacked the children in 2012 and 2013.
That she did that to him, but I repeatedly punched her. On many occasions, my son, I told him to tell me every single thing that she did to him. So as she was telling me, he was telling me more and more things that she did. I assaulted her every time he told me what she did to him.
She also claimed that the children had sexually abused a sibling, despite the fact that she did not witness the alleged assault and did not involve the authorities because she feared losing her other children. Blair stated that she planned to murder Stoney but had no idea that her son's abuse would be fatal. Blair also had an angry outburst during a custody hearing in June 2015 before being forcibly removed from the courthouse. She was then momentarily removed from the room before being allowed to back in. The judge eventually ruled there was enough cause for terminating Blair's parental rights to the children, who were 8 and 17 at the time, at the hearing for a trial to resolve her parental rights to her surviving children. Blair's outburst in court was not her first. She was taken from the courtroom in 2015 after yelling at the father of one of her living children during a parental rights termination hearing. Thank you for tuning into our video. If you enjoyed it, please like it and share it with your friends. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more thought-provoking content.